Hey there, Together Learners. Eric back again. And I want to ask the question, why are games so fun? Why is it such a great experience when we play games? Well, it all has to do with one major concept, and we're going to be talking about it in this video, and about game experiences. And the main thing is, games are a give and take. Games provide rules and let you interact with it. So there's a give and take with games. And so in this video, we're going to talk about the constructs, the concepts, and the ideas and the dynamics that go into the game experience. All right? Coming right up. All right. So we play games, we love games, but we understand that to have fun with games, we have to interact with them in a way. They can't be too hard or too easy. They have to be maybe in a sort of a timeline or a story or a theme that we enjoy, and we have to interact in them in a way that is enjoyable to us or allows us to interact with other players in the game that makes it enjoyable, fair, fun, interesting, whatever that might be. And that all together, all those ideas create the experience when we play games. We are giving to the game with our interactions, with our input, and the game is giving back to us with the rules, the mechanics, and all that other fun stuff that go into it. And that creates the game experience. It's all about this give and take between you, the game, the players, all together, all these different ideas and concepts and dynamics to create the game experience. And if you understand this concept, this idea more deeply, it will allow you to create better games and more enjoyable experiences, game-like experiences in tourism, business, marketing, etc., etc. So what's behind this game experience? Well, there are two big ideas at play here. We already mentioned them up at the front. So there's the dynamics of the player and the dynamics of the game. There are different things that the game is doing to react or give rules or set mechanics for the player or players. And there's different things the players are doing to interact with the game, to make moves, to play a card, to press a button, whatever that might be. And those things are going back and forth, almost like a dance in different ways. And those things all together create this experience. The player and the dynamics involved with the player, because the player is always in motion, always moving, always thinking differently, always trying a different approach. And the game, if it's a good one, sets the rules, but allows those rules are in a way to allow the player to have those differences or interact with each other in a certain way that makes it maybe fun, interesting, replayable, etc., etc. So these two ideas combine back and forth, give and take to create the game experience. All right, so let's first take a look at the first idea here, which is the player-based dynamics. So the player is bringing a lot of different things to the game, and the game is reacting to it. And some major components of player-based dynamics are the luck involved, right? When there's an element of chance in a game, it makes it more fun. That's why people love to play gambling type games like poker, craps, and other type of gambling games. So pachinko is popular here in Japan because you're relying on chance. And so when that hits, you get that big payout. It's designed in a lot of video games these days with the rolling loot boxes and things like that. If there's an element of chance involved, it has a big effect on the player-based dynamics. How much luck are you putting into the game? Strategy is another kind of form of the game. How much can the player take the rules of the game and approach it in different ways? And if you know the rules greatly or you know the other players greatly, how can you be able to put your mind to work and have a specific strategy in mind? Be able to think 5, 10, 20 moves in advance. And sometimes that is a great advantage for the deep thinkers and the people who have played, have experience in the game very well. Next, we have skills and knowledge. Different players bring different attributes, just like all of us humans do. We have different abilities, we have different physical strengths, we have different mental strengths, we know different things, we have different types of knowledge. Like, for example, if we're playing a trivia game, it depends greatly on the subject matter of those trivia questions because we all have different tastes and different knowledge of different subject areas. And so you might be much more knowledgeable about one subject area and not another. So all these things come to bear in the player-based dynamics. And you have to, when designing a game, you have to think about how these are going to react with each other. And if it's a multiplayer game, how these react with other players. For example, if you want a lot of players to play with each other again and again and again, and a player gets better at the game, or understands the rules a lot more, perhaps luck starts to detract from the enjoyability of that player. For example, they become really good, they understand the strategy involved, but some new player comes in and a lot of luck is involved in winning the game and they lose. That might be very unsatisfactory to an advanced player. So sometimes you can't rely specifically on too much luck depending on whatever that game might be. Game skills, for example, if a player is very good at aiming, for example, if it's a first-person shooter game, that is all about that skill that's involved. Being able to point the cursor and shoot is a very essential skill in first-person shooters. But if you want to be able to add some luck and some strategy into that, for example, I am terrible at shooting at first-person shooters, but I enjoy playing some types of first-person shooter games where I'm able to have a little bit more luck and apply a bit more strategy to get a kill, to get a win, or to support my team. For example, I like to be a healer in Overwatch because that allows me to play a first-person shooter, but I don't necessarily have to keep getting those headshots to contribute to my team. So you see, all of these things start to combine together in something very meaningful to the player that they bring to the game. But that's only half of the equation. We also have the game-based dynamics. And this is what the game is bringing back to the player. And this is all the constructs of the game that is built upon it. Then when the player utilizes their skill, their knowledge, their strategy, and get their luck or their unlucky situations, get play out within these game-based dynamics. And these represent themselves in the theme of the game, what type of game it is, the kind of demographics that are around the game, who does it appeal to. The story of the game usually has a big impact on the how the game is played out. Like usually there's a lot of role playing involved. You're a different character in a different time, a different place. And all of those things go into how a player might want to react in that certain situation. And the mechanics, probably the biggest thing here and the biggest range of notions here is any little piece of control, rules, physics inside the game that you build in that make it possible to interact with that game in the smallest possible ways. So any given game, whether it be a board game, a card game, a video game, has lots and lots of different mechanics, different rules, different ways to interact with it. In a video game, that might be how high you jump, or when you want to run faster, how that works in the control of that game. In a board game, that might be, is it turn-based, or do you get to go again when you get a point, or all these little things become mechanics and therefore start to dictate if the player can have more luck, strategy, whatever. So you see there's starting to be a bit of give and take with all of these ideas. So we have our game-based dynamics, we have our player-based dynamics, which are all different kinds of things melding together. And those things are the things that become the give and take between the things that are happening with the game and the things that are happening with the player or players that become the game experience. We're going to learn a whole lot more about this in our course, Game Experiences at togetherlearning.com. We're going to share examples. We're actually going to be using things like augmented and virtual reality to design games. And it's all a part of our bigger initiative to have better digital literacy or better digital citizens in the world. So if you're interested, please come visit us at togetherlearning.com. And for now, let's try to utilize and understand, as we play games, what's going on with these dynamics in the game and why am I enjoying this experience so much. All right, I'm Eric. Thanks for watching this video and learning about game experiences. We'll keep learning together at togetherlearning.com. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.